say Sami, you say rhymes, Sami.
Rhymes!
Sami.
Rhymes!
Alright, it's great to be back here actually for the fourth time. So I'm not new here, and every time I come I like to do a different set. So yeah, based on the times. So as of yesterday, it is actually currently Suicide Prevention Week, so I thought I'd open up with a piece on mental health, and this piece is called Goodbyes.
You going?
You see, I don't like goodbyes, but I like a good bargain. Always hustling and looking for goodbyes, but life's not something we can bargain. It's a gift, but we don't all get to profit from the uplift it brings due to tight margins. Suicidal thoughts got us thinking whether life's something we even want to take part in. Regardless of what we decide, we can't hide the fact that suicide is on the rise, and that's some of us departing real young, like Will Young. We feel we better leave right now before we fall any deeper. Now she's 6 feet under, can't get any deeper. She was living dead for a while like the Grim Reaper, covered up in the cloak of pain, so dark nobody could see her. If only somebody could have seen her and spotted the signs, like the way she used to mix pills with wine and disappear from time to time. When asked how she was, she would say she was fine, even though she was clearly down all the time. Should have read between the lines and given her the time of day, then maybe she would not have had to go away so soon. And maybe things would have been different if those men hadn't entered the room, and different if they had let her keep the locks in her room. Maybe she wouldn't have been raped, and maybe she wouldn't have been groomed. Maybe she would have lived to see more sunsets, sunrises and full moons. With support, she probably would not have thought that her life was doomed. Maybe she would have healed by now, recovered and bloomed, no longer feeling physically and mentally ruined. You see, her suicidal thoughts could have been freed if only she had somebody to turn to in her time of need. She could have been more than just another statistic in our news feed, and that coffin she was buried in could have been freed for a little while longer. Age doesn't determine lifespan, but older shouldn't be burying their youngers. Death should be natural, not self-inflicted. It comes without a warning. We can't always predict it, but when we see the signs of suicide, we should do our bit to help restrict it and help those afflicted change their thought process and views. There's always something we can do, even if it's just a quick how are you. I'm here to listen, I'm here to help you. I got your back and I'm praying for you. All this pain you're feeling, you will get through. Nothing lasts forever, I reassure you. Time heals and things will get better for you. You see, sometimes people just need somebody to vent to or simply say hi to before they become that person we say goodbye to. Thank you. Alright, so next up, sometimes I do write workshops, you see. I've been recording a lot for my next project recently, and I thought I'd share a poem that I did following up with some girls. I wrote a workshop on the theme of equity. So it's called Written Off in the Womb. Is it women and children first, or every man for himself? Survival of the fittest, or survival with man's help? Do we prosper better together, or when we do things ourselves? Arguably progress is quicker when we place stubbornness on shelves, scrap DIY and ask others for help. It can be scary, but our contributions vary, and we can't all be Virgin Marys when we deliver. Celebrating another success need not be bitter. If equity is established, then it's okay for one to get to their end goal quicker than the other, so long as the other isn't treated like the other along the way. Turned away or made to go the longer way, cause one looks a type of way. Identifies as female and colour or female and gay. Even a female who's straight has to bend over backwards to get her way. Where gender's concerned, it's rarely fair play. Equity is about giving everyone the time away, putting labels away and making hard work pay. differentiating those who come to play from those who come to slay. But it's mad to say that today we're still about 286 years away from closing the gap in gender pay and having discriminatory laws put away and barred. Yeah, we come far, but the rate of progress is starting to stall. We know opportunity is something that should be open to all, but there seems to be more closed calls and open calls and more closed doors and open floors, and one of society's open floors is having half the world hoping for just a little bit more fairness across all ambits, patriarchal privilege abandoned, nothing handed, given or managed unless it's candid. From the classroom to the boardroom, most women in the room were written off in the womb way before we're landed. Now we're socially stranded, molded and branded or reprimanded for doing things demanded and for making moves that weren't commanded. I will forever struggle to understand it. I mean, we don't gender souls, yet we are quick to gender roles. Might start in the same position, but only one ends up in pole, the other ends up in goal across borders, taking shots and orders as if a laughing stock is the only stock for her. Meanwhile, equity is the stock for him, and I'm not saying it don't get tough for him or for those who identify as they, but that's a whole different thing. And here's the thing, we're still living in a world where patriarchal policy, and here's the thing, we're still working with patriarchal policies that favour him. Women are made to work twice as hard for things society tells us is made for him, and we still live in a world where a man is favoured over the woman who gave him in labour, and where giving labour usually means sacrificing labour and careers, education and school years, giving up our best years and best plans, putting aside dreams and ambitions for man, sacrificing for fam, or in some cases sacrificing a fam, choosing to be childless. From the classroom to the boardroom, most women in the room were written off in the womb, but some were also born without wombs and may choose to make room for other babies, projects and goals, taking on positions of power and leadership roles. We don't gender souls, so let's not gender roles. When our girls tell us they got goals and plans to fulfill roles like man, tell them this girl can. If she's not living under the Taliban or on a land where education is banned, let her choose, help her plan, let her know you're a fan and support her where you can. Cause she will come across hurdles, get setbacks and verbals, and in some cases beaten till she's purple or blue. And sometimes being a woman is blue, not pink. There's no one way to think on this journey. Some will set sail and some will sink, but we are not society's weakest link. There'll always be misogynists wishing for women to be hopeless, but in case you ain't noticed, we are the definition of divine dopeness. We know change is needed and we're focused in embracing equities and protesting. And every bias we break along the way is part of the process, a process which needs both man and woman to progress. It's not about us v them, it's about being fair and treated a little more equal. Men need us and we need them, people need people. Gender equity needs to be embraced for the betterment of all people. Thank you. Very conscious of time, I am going to end on the peace of mind, which is reflected on the times. It's actually one of my tracks as well, and I actually performed this when at one of my sets when I first came here, and it had a good reception, so I hope you do enjoy it. Anger accumulates after absorbing articles addressing aggression and abuse towards Africans and anyone ancestral. Advarks are African animals, but Africans aren't animals. Annual attempts to annihilate and abolish all ain't always about Afghanistan and America. Armed authorities also abide in Africa. AK-47 aimed, accuracy attained, another assassination acclaimed. Americans are always about, and there's always an Aussie around. Broad and alien ancestors alight, alert and awakened alive. Anger aside, I'm always advancing and attaining achievements. Acclaimed author, also an artist. Audiences applaud and appreciate the art. Alhamdulillah, always ask Allah, attempting to attain the amazing attributes of his apostle. Abdullah, better to begin with Bismillah, bringing bounce of blessings and barakah, banned the burqa and broke the barrier, bound by bureaucracy. Black is beyond beautiful, but being black's also a burden. Black boys wanting bread in Britain, bring bane before bringing bliss. Blacklisted, barred, barricaded behind bars, balaclavas and blood bars, beefing in back streets, back in buddies, being black and blue, embodied in body bags before being buried. Baby mummies bore babies without baby daddies, bad blood between brothers, broken bonds, babies born into broken homes. Black British, Cameroonian, covered up and causing confusion, culture clashes and communal conflicts, centuries of corruption and calamities, commanders conquering countries and creating colonies, civil wars and colonial conflicts, constant catastrophes, corrupted systems, colonialism, can't stand capitalism, can't stand communism, concentration camps need cancelling, corrupted leaders be moving crazy and need counselling, crying for change whilst counting my change, carbon emissions concurrently contribute to climate change, creative creations, creatives create and convey their craft to communities across nations, creator, created creation, Catholics confess behind curtains, confide in my creator for certain, committed to the commandments conveyed in the Quran, but I still commit haram, I'm constantly under construction, changing my ways for the better, trying to circumvent combustion, constantly challenged from the cradle to the coffin, like CCTV, I'm constantly clocking my circle and what I'm copying, camera shy children, captured on cameras, owned by cyber criminals, carnivals moving cynical, casually criminalising and corrupting our children, cancel child trafficking, cancel child abuse, it's time for the child to choose, court case to claim custody, child protection, children in care, cause careless couldn't care less, continents connect to combat corona, conspiracies can turn in China, can't cure cancer, deadly diseases, dementia and diabetes, death by disease, dying with dignity, divinely decreed, devout to different deities, different doxologies, doing the word daily, demonstrating dedication, displaying disapprovals of dictators at demonstrations, determined to dismantle the system and disempower those doing dodgy deals, done well to dodge drugs but I dance with the devil, dive into my duvet on dark days, dealing with depression, defeated, but determined to defeat it, like Ebola, every epidemic ends up ethically cleansing and eradicating excellence, evil entrepreneurs endeavour to extirpate the evidence, eccentric endings at elections, extraordinary renditions and extraditions, politics of exception, no explanation for a number of executions and exonerations, euthanization and extermination of educated ebonies, essentially eliminating enemies, end up expressing empathy in endless eulogies, everyone dies eventually, find ourselves at funerals frequently, I frequently flee from Facebook feeling fatigue, frustration, fed up of having feds up in my face, fortunate to not have FaceTime, face fans and face hard times, fighting for freedom and fighting on the front line, ferocious fiascos frequently feature favelas in Palestine, Grenfell's gone green, got goosebumps breathing for yet another government generated genocide, green light given to guys mutilating female genitals, gutters are getting gentrified, guys and girls gang banging and getting gone, ghosting and getting gone, generations gathered in graveyards, going to God or going for grief, Hypno guards be grabbing garments and grievously bodily harming groups of guys in Guantanamo. Hypno's gotta go hurriedly. It's a horror story that's gone horribly wrong. They hit men like they hit men in Hong Kong. Hearts heavy, hearing horrendous headlines. Hurting humans are hurting humans. Hacked hysteria. Informants infiltrate and attain information, which in hand leads to increased incarceration and institutionalization of innocence, isolation in place, interrogated away from internees and inmates, inside and definitely once inside, incorporated into the world's most inequitable incorporation, jail. Justice is far from just, and the judiciary system is a joke. Judges are jesters who join forces with jokers in the force of jail. Juveniles like Jermaine and Janae just for being black or brown. Jinx like Mac John who jacks jewels and jumps them all but doesn't go down. Kings killed by knives and knocked out with clash the clocks. Ku Klux Klan and karate chops. Long lifespans are unlikely for lads and ladies that look like me. Lifelong sentences and long hours of labour are more likely in lands like Libya and the land of the free. Lay low if you don't want to get left in a lake lynched or used as a lab rat. Liberate yourself from leaders and lead your own life. Light your own light. Make time for memorization. Then melancholy and madness and medication or meditation. Morning mantras because manifestation matters. Make news but keep them muted. Never narrate nice news or new news to a narcissist. Nurture nature, newborns and new beginnings. Overcome obstacles in order to obtain your optimal. Object oppression and the obstruction of opportunities. Oppressors open fire at the opposition in onslaughts of our own extracting oil and earning others like property. Pandemic got people panicking, panic buying and pointlessly paying for paper packaging. People in power are profiting from prison populations and profiling the penniless. Pictures of poor people who partially portray poverty. Paupers are predominantly poor because they're paid poorly. People of colour are perpetually prevented from progressing and purposely pushed aside or passed over when peacefully protesting against police brutality and public policies. People are popping pills and periodically pickled with pain, palpitations, hearts pounding. It's time to pause, be present and ponder, practice patience and prosper. Quarantines, questioning our leaders whilst pulling Quranic quotes and qasidas. Radicals run rampant with racist regimes. Radio silence from reporters reporting on scene. Realize, ready for the revolution to be televised. Some states still sanction sterilizations, stealing stillborns before they're stillborn, surgically stopping sperm and stealing semen, sabotaging the sex life of smitten sweethearts, strip search and sentence, separated from soulmates in society, struggling with sobriety, suicide strikes suddenly, turbulent times, terrible tragedies taking place time after time, torturous techniques used to terrorize and traumatize tyrants toppled and taken out by tired people that are tired of being tired and treated like threats. The he-girls from Amriki are under attack, uprooted to an underworld where they are undermined and urged out to crap. Violation after violation, vulnerable victims of violence, verbals of victimization. Victories are vastly valued, but virtually it's vices versus virtue. We want wonderful things, but we're not always willing to put the work in. We worship when we weep and we're worried when we're weak, but why do we forget to thank him when we win? That's warped like wars being raged by wrong-uns, xenophobia in Xinjiang, Xi Jinping exterminating man. Yazidis and Yemenis have become yesterday's news like a lot of Generation Y youths. Zionists be zebra crossing into zones that are Palestinian owned. There's no Zen in this zone. Can't sleep, need to catch up on Z's. I've zoned out on Zoom a zillion times when feeling so tired, but now it's time to zoom back into reality. Thank you, I've been Sami.